So this is your average catalytic converter. Based on the markings on here, you can't really tell exactly what kind of car, make, model it comes off of. Unfortunately, these catalytic converters don't have any serialized stuff on it, so we can't really know whether or not this comes off of a Toyota, Honda, or anything like that. So if an officer happens to stop a subject and has 5 of these, obviously that would raise a lot of red flags. And what they're actually physically going after is the platinum metal groups that are located inside this. Basically, the exhaust fumes come here, go into the catalyst, which is usually made of a titanium dioxide center core. It's usually made of ceramic. And what they do is they actually take and extract those precious metals. Price for rhodium right now is approximately $18,000 per ounce. So if you have several hundred of these and you're taking this either extraction through a chemical process or a smelting process, you can actually become very lucrative. Meanwhile, victims and insurance companies are having to pay $2,000 usually to $3,000, depending on what type of vehicle this is, to have this stuff replaced. You'll know when your catalytic converter is stolen because there'll be a very deafening sound coming from there, sounding more like a race car because the exhaust is not being filtered through here.
So the program that we launched is the Etch and Catch program, and it was launched in 2019. And we have etched almost approximately 600 cars. We provided them with etch materials. That would mean a stencil. They would have the etching tool to etch the full VIN number onto the catalytic converter, as well as a stencil that says TPD, and they use heat-resistant neon green spray paint to spray TPD on the bottom. All of this acts as a deterrent, and it isn't necessarily something that's going to stop it entirely, but we're hoping it hopefully at least takes longer for them to clean that stuff off before they take it to a scrap yard or they get caught and owners are able to be identified at that point.
As detectives, we don't get to get out as much as we have because half the cases that we're working require us to do a lot of searching on computers and do a lot of background on suspects. So we don't get to do as many patrol checks and kind of go out and look in these areas in the middle of the daytime because primarily catalytic converters do happen at night under the cover of darkness. The hardest part is how fast they can remove these catalytic converters. They can remove a catalytic converter in mere seconds just by using a Sawzall and a couple really sharp blades. We're finding blades left at the scene when they're stealing multiple catalytic converters at a time. Suspects are targeting these business complexes, and what if they have a whole fleet of trucks that are parked there over the weekend? No one's there. There are security measures that can be put in place. They do the etching program, and there's also these cages that, just like the video I showed you previously, cars fit in, normal cars fit in a lot of these locations. You can kind of see how these things happen. This location here was one of the locations that I showed you, and as you can see, there's a lot of cars in the parking lot. Not a lot to discourage somebody from coming around, but a lot of things have happened here. As we were talking about the difficulties with these catalytic converters and investigating them, due to the fact that these suspects can remove these catalytic converters so fast, if they get stopped in the middle of the night, there's very limited legal and legislation to actually be able to have these catalytic converters traced back to the original owners in the middle of the night. And having these programs put in place that have to do with the etching programs and getting some type of legislation passed through car manufacturers to actually include the VIN number on the catalytic converters, because it's not just a California or Orange County, this is across the United States.
So if there's any businesses out there looking to join within the city limits, we would be happy to accept them. It's really important to etch as many cars as we can in order to help deter the theft and hopefully identify the victims of catalytic converter theft, because it'll cost the victims between $2,000 to $4,000 to replace those catalytic converters.